Well, hey folks, Brother D here. Another video for this channel. I'm going to throw this in here. You know, on this channel I talk a lot about the Philippines and my desire to go one of these days and so forth and so on. And it's not just for the woman. I think that the Filipino culture is one of the more like American cultures that I just feel myself feeling at home there. I don't think Filipinos would go out of their way to call me the N-word. I just saw a video where this one English teacher, African English teacher in China, got called the N-word by a young kid, and the young kid didn't know that he was English teacher and knew how to speak, you know, Chinese, so Mandarin or whatever that is, and he speaks it very fluently. And people admire him because wherever he goes, because he can speak, and people are more careful around him once they find out that he can speak their language. This little stunning lady here, I'm trying to figure her out as to what her problem is. I'm going to play the video and let you hear her nonsense, and you can tell me whether you think that she's on her right side of her brain to be saying these things. What she's saying here is that it's okay for a white man to date outside his race, but it's creepy for a black man to do it. Now, however a white man uses pickup lines or tries to tell an Asian woman that he's interested in dating her or whatever, I've seen white men get away with some stuff that my black butt could never get away with. I've seen them go to talking about body parts and the way she smells and when was the last time, and all kinds of crazy things to get a conversation started, especially with a woman that's foreign. And I do that, I'd end up in jail. Even though I wouldn't do that if I could get away with that because I'm a born again Christian. But I don't understand what her problem is, why she feels she needs to make a bunch of videos like this. She did another video very similar to this a while back. And I've subscribed to her channel just now because I want to see what other nonsense she's coming up with. I want to prove to myself that she's just obviously racist. And she's saying, well, I'm not trying to be racist. Okay, so I don't know what country you were from before you got adopted, sweetheart, but we got a boy in China calling, okay, an African man, he ain't even black, he's African, calling an African man the N-word. Just for no reason, just because he saw him. Then you get on here and you show up on my page and you get on here and you say all this stuff about, oh, we don't like black men over here in America. You need to watch more Asian, Filipino, that kind of thing YouTube. Because like this man and many black men, especially like if you go to Japan or China, especially China, if a black man goes to China and he can speak their language fluently, he will get a lot of dates, unless he's just really that short like me, he's just really that old or like me, or he's just really ugly. But all the black men that go over there and they live in China and they know how to handle the culture and the culture shock and all that stuff, they get a lot of Asian dates. So what do you mean we don't like them over here either? First of all, you're right. Asian women treat us like trash in our own country, but in their country they treat us slightly differently. And even though in the Philippines Filipino women are asked many, many times in many YouTube videos, white man or black man? And they'll say, a white man, of course. Okay, what's wrong with a black man? Oh, well, they're dirty, And the science proves that black men, it's just simple science. Black men do less things to get them dirty. Some of that even includes work. But black men do less things that gets them dirty and smelly, number one. They don't like to sweat unless they're in the gym, number two. And number three, we take more showers, okay, per day, and wear more cologne and do more powdering ourselves up and lotion and Vaseline and Diddy oil and all that stuff, okay? We do all that stuff, probably way more than most Asian men. I don't know about Asian women, but Asian men and white men do. Guarantee you. When I go to work every day, I meet white men who don't know how to keep their pants up on their butt, okay? And their butt cheeks are showing, and there's a fart that's coming out of there. They just won't leave the building. They stink. They smell like they pooped themselves. And it ain't just a fart. It lingers. It fills up the whole super center. It's bad. We're dirty? You must be talking about crime. That I will say. A lot of black men are dirty, rotten thugs. They really are. Okay, not me, but a lot of us are. Let you listen to what she says, and then I'll say my piece.
Before anything, I'm a woman, so I'm always going to stand up for women regardless of race. And one thing that really bothers me about this is these same passport bros are the men who probably tried to hit on me in the US before they realized that we don't like them either. I'm from a town that really doesn't have that many Asian women, especially Asian women who look like me. I'm adopted. I grew up in a white family in the Midwest, so I have no beauty standards from South Korea. I'm a thick woman. I weigh about 165 pounds. I'm 5'5", so honestly, the brothers like to holler, and they still do. Pretty much every time I met a black man, he thought it would be a flex to say something like, yeah, I like my women foreign. I like my women exotic. And I don't know why they decided to say that to me, if they thought it would make me feel good or something, but for me, it's always a red flag. And so I would dig in a little bit further and say, well, what do you mean by that? Before anything, I'm a woman, so I'm always going to stand up for women regardless of race. And one thing that really bothers me about this is these same passport bros are the men who probably tried to hit on me in the US before they
Let me let it play again.
realized that we don't like them either. I'm from a town that really doesn't have that many Asian women, especially Asian women who look like me. I'm adopted. I grew up in a white family in the Midwest, so I have no beauty standards from South Korea. I'm a thick woman. I weigh about 165 pounds. I'm 5'5", so honestly, the brothers like to holler, and they still do. Pretty much every time I met a black man, he thought it would be a flex to say something like, yeah, I like my women foreign. I like my women exotic. And I don't know why they decided to say that to me, if they thought it would make me feel good or something, but for me, it's always a red flag. And so I would dig in a little bit further and say, well, what do you mean by that? Before anything,
She didn't say what they mean by that, but my problem is, why can white men do it, but we can't say it? If a white man that grew up in the, what did she say, Midwest or Southwest? Trust me, white men up here in the North are more prone to it naturally happening. But if she's talking about the South or the West, then white men, there's there's not a whole lot of Asian white relationships, okay? So how come white men can do it? Because trust me, where do you think us black men got it from? How you think passport bros got together? I'm not a passport bro, because I don't feel as a Christian I need to be a passport bro. If I want to go to the Philippines, just go to the Philippines. Because it's the same thing everywhere I go. I'm not a fornicator. I'm not looking for some free coochie. And I'm not looking for a woman who's a prostitute that's going to prostitute herself by marrying me. Because if you really don't love me for who I am, then you're a prostitute. It's still prostitution. Even though you're putting a ring in it, and you can never leave the Philippines, I have to stay in the Philippines. I can't never bring you to the States. Like I've said in a dozen videos on my channel. Okay? You're not really my wife then. You're just on borrowed time. You're still an escort. Even though we're calling it marriage, you're still an escort. Okay? I'm not into that. Okay? But again, why can white men call her exotic and say I like it Asian? Because that's what they say. These men that are constantly making videos in the Philippines, whether they're passport bros or not. Passport bros is kind of fading away. We're now mainly just having retired men, whether they're young or old, going to the Philippines. And the whole age gap thing is starting to be debunked. Because we're finding out that the Asians, the Filipinos, I should say, have lied about that. And they're now coming forward and being honest because they got busted that they're doing it for money. They're not doing it because they're really attracted to these older men. They're doing it for money. And even the Filipina P is starting to be honest about it when she was the first one to say, oh, it's not your wallet. It's because we really, really, really love an old man with a pot belly and silver hair and blah, 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 you know. You also like them tall because most Asian men are short like me. Okay. So a lot of Asian women would rather have an old fart that's about 6.5 feet tall than to have a younger person, a little bit younger than him anyway, that's about 5'3". But that hurts for her to say what she said, and it's kind of racist. I mean, she's not calling it that, but it is kind of racist. Because the thing is, if you date outside your race and you stereotype one race, see, if you're in your race, in my opinion, if you keep it in your race, then you have stereotypes for every race out there except your own. But if you go outside your race, you're a hypocrite because I know Filipino women do this. They stereotype their own men. They stereotype Filipino men. They will get on TV, and when you say, so do you date Filipino men or do you date Americans? And they go, Filipino men. Making faces and everything. And I'm sure a lot of Filipino men would just want to pow, 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 just shoot her, you know? Like, what kind of crap was that? But if you date outside your race, you really can't stereotype any race. Now, if you keep it in your race, then you can basically stereotype anybody that ain't your race. Let me say that again. If you date outside your race, to pick and choose one over the other is racist when you really look at it. But if you only date within your race, then you're basically stereotyped basically about everybody equally. Because you don't believe in dating outside your race no matter what. Okay? And there's a lot of Asian women like that. And that doesn't bother me. If an Asian woman wants to only be with, Asian men. Or especially if she wants to only be with, like, Chinese girls want to be with Chinese men, Japanese girls want to be with Japanese men. They want men that not only look like them, but speak their language and have lived in their country and practice their cultures and religions. Okay? I can understand that. Now, but when an Asian woman says, I'm going to move to America and I'm going to date outside my race. Now, in her case, I understand because she was adopted by white people. So it's very obvious, you know. I met a girl who doesn't like me because I'm black. She thinks black people are creepy, but she's a black kid. And a friend of mine, a white friend of mine, invited me over her house. She used to live up the street and around the corner from me in this up little small town called Lower Borough. And we were good friends, and she was taking me for a walk around her neighborhood and introducing me to her neighbors and stuff like that. And we came across this young, pretty black girl who had her two white brothers with her. She was adopted, like this girl's adopted. And she did not like me. The white boys shook my hand and said, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Cruz. Welcome to the neighborhood." You know what I'm saying? This girl, I just, okay, I'm going to leave her alone. I'm not even going to say anything else. Okay, she seems like she's got a problem here. Because she thought that because she grew up in a white family, that automatically makes her racist towards black guys. And she chose to be like that. Like, how many people, the problem is there's been plenty of black people that left their white family to go chase after their black roots and they ended up in jail. Okay? Like, you don't have to go that deep and just go out there, listen to some rap music or something, but don't go hang out with the posse. Like, don't go hang out with the thugs. Like, don't hang out with bad people. You know. But I've always said this, and I believe this, and she wants to talk that crap. I'm gonna talk it to. I believe that if black people didn't have a bad reputation, if black men did not have a bad reputation, white men would hardly ever get laid. Because there's two reasons why people don't mess with the melanin. Number one, because it's uneducated, because of slavery, because of war, because of religion. Just like a lot of women don't want to be with Muslim men. For the same reason they don't want to be with black men. Because number one, Islam is mean to women. Your husband's, okay, is more capable of slapping you more times than he will make love to you. Okay, and that's my stereotype. Okay, but I'm gonna say it again. If we didn't all suffer financial poverty in some way, and if we didn't all have bad reputations, white men would ever hardly get laid. I've had white women where I've seen white women write books and documentaries about black men. And when you read these books, you understand one thing. A man is black. We all migrated. We all evolved from Africa. I mean, we all evolved from, before it was Africa, we all evolved from, we didn't evolve from the common ancestor, an ape. We evolved from the Euphrates and the Pishon River. Okay? We evolved from the Garden of Eden. From a man named Adam. He's our common ancestor. Okay?
Woman, so I'm always going to stand.
He's our common ancestor. Not an ape. Our common ancestor was a superhuman called Adam. Okay? And his wife Eve. Those are our common ancestors. Okay? And where was the Garden of Eden? It was in the Euphrates and the Havilah and the Pishon. What is that? That's Africa. That's what we formerly know today to be Africa. So everybody evolved. We weren't once apes, but we were all once Cushion. We were all once Cushites, or what's the other word? Nubian, or you know, the land of Kush is what they called it before they called it Africa. And today I think the land of Kush is in Africa. Okay. If you remember the education of ancient Egypt and the Egyptians and their practices and all like that, they studied science, they studied, we all evolved out of that. We evolved from what we know today as Africa before it was ever called Africa. We all evolved from the land of Kush. Okay. And, however we became Asian, however we became black, white, Spanish, Indian, okay, it all started with Kush. We were all Kushites before we was anything else. Okay. And those were dark complected people. I mean, they were darker than me. They were dark. Okay. And if you look at anybody's DNA, when they do them DNA records and stuff like that, almost everybody has some form or some, even if it's just 1%, has at least 1% African in them. Because it's science. It's where we come from. White men don't have their own God and their own creation. They don't have their own Adam and Eve. They have the same Adam and Eve that I evolved from. There's nothing special about a white man except the fact that he made sure that he was in control of this country. That's it. And in order to do that, he's got to be educated. He's got to incorporate the races. He's got to be in control of everything that steps foot in this country. The women. Okay, he's got to put everybody to work. But the other thing that the white man did, when they allowed slavery to slip through their fingers, they began to do the work themselves and begin to call the black man lazy, which is true. We've begun our work history with an attitude. I'm no longer a slave. So I go to work every day and you got white people that trying to impress their bosses with how they can work, how well they can work and how fast they can do it. And some of it I look up to, some of it I don't. But getting on from that, if she thinks that no Asian women are attracted to black men, she needs to spend more time in her own country. North Korea, South Korea, whichever one she's originated from, both of them, in fact, love black men just as much as they love white men. The Philippines, more white men than black men, but black men get the same respect. Okay? Black men get more respect in the Philippines more than any other Asian country. But the white men got the women. Now, just like this Chinese teacher that I was talking about, teaching English in China, he got Asian girls coming out of his ears. If a black man is willing to travel and share his money, he can get Asian girls easily. Might not get this little hoochie mama. Because I'd like to know where she was at that a black man got into a conversation with her to where he felt it easy to say, I like them Asian, I like them exotic. Where'd he meet you at? In the club? Was you shaking your booty in front of 100 Americans? And this is the thing, Asian ladies and white ladies and other women, all you women, including black women that are dating white men, because you seem to think that you are still black, even though you're dating a white man. And this is what this is all about. A woman is only good as the man that she's sleeping with. And it's a shame because you're really, really not really connected unless you're married, but you have soul ties if you're having sex with someone. So, woman is only as good as the man she marries. Just like black women. The reason why they keep screwing up and acting a fool is because men will sleep with them and have children with them while they wear a weave, while they are acting rich and acting like the N word and acting like, fools. Men will still sleep with them. Okay? Just like an Asian woman can sleep with a black dude and feel that he's still creepy. Okay? They do it in the Philippines all the time. There are so many different areas of this argument out there, and she is keeping it in, what would she say, the West, Southwest, whatever. Okay? Yeah. That might be in the West, sweetheart, but that is not the world at large. Because one thing is true, you're right about. It is hard to, if a black man has an interest in Asian women, it is hard for him to hook up with Asian women in his own country. But he can go to China, he can go to Japan. But he can go to China, he can go to Korea, he can go to Vietnam, he can go to Thailand, the Philippines, Indonesia, Cambodia, you name it. And he can meet Asian women that are more prettier than this Asian woman right here. He can meet Asian women that got more to offer and bringing more to the table, so to speak. Y'all love to use that phrase. Bringing more to the table than this Asian woman right here. Okay? And I've had oh, come back. My watch went on a blink. Okay, there it is. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. I've had some Asian women that have come over here who have dated or were getting ready to marry a white man who had me up against the sink in the kitchen. Okay? Who had me up against the sink in the just behind that wall while their husband's out there waiting for them. I snitched on her because we're Christians. I don't want my friend, this guy was my friend, I don't want him marrying a woman that ain't got his back, that's going to cheat on him. She got me up against the sink in the kitchen right behind the wall. He's out there waiting on his tea. I'm making myself a cup of tea. She's making him tea. While we're waiting on a tea to boil, she got me up against the sink. And, okay.
Not for women, regardless of race.
And there's other brothers walking in and out. No women, but brothers walking in and out of the kitchen. And they don't care because they figure, oh, we must be good friends. Even if we were good friends, you don't do that to your husband or your fiance. You don't do that. You should never be putting your hands on another man and getting fresh with another man. Jobs I've had, doing security and stuff like that, I was totally shocked. I've had Asian women who could speak English very clearly, first of all. Get a little, try to get personal with me, and I appreciate that. Okay. I could have dated a woman that was half black and half Asia, and she was very, very beautiful to behold, and me and her were the same age. But she was already She was already engaged to a white man. See, this is all about, and I do these videos all the time about the Philippines and white men, and Asia, basically, period, and white men. Asian women go nuts about white men. So what is she saying? She's saying she's doing the same thing a white woman would do if a black man approached her and was saying, "Oh, I like white women. I've never dated, I've only dated one black woman in my life, but now lately I've been getting, he say something dumb like that." She's going to do a video like this too. It's all about the white man and who is dating the white man. People who date the white men, they think that gives them a necessary right to be racist. But you're dating outside your race. You got to be the biggest hypocrite and the biggest racist. I mean, it's one thing if you stereotype other races in general because you never stepped outside your race. This girl was adopted, not by Asian people, by white people. So you never slept with a black dude. You never went on a real date with a black dude. You never had a black boyfriend, but you want to stereotype. And I think that is wrong. I think when you date outside your race, then you best be open to get to know everybody before you judge. I'm not saying that, maybe Indian men don't have something over black men. I'm not saying that white men don't have something over black men, and vice versa. I'm not saying that Italian men don't have something over white men, or men from Greece, Greek men, don't have something over white men or something like that. But what I'm saying is, if you date outside your race, whether you adopt it or not, okay? And I've met other adopted kids, and they've done the same thing. They stereotyped against other black kids or other black people because they were adopted and they seen what black people go through, and they figure everything's our fault and everything is because we're bad people and And if you're not stereotyping us, then why the anger? Why the resentment? Why are you even making this video? You ought to be glad that somebody appreciates your Asian behind other than your white boyfriend or boyfriends. Because y'all all look like. That's why when I was younger, I did not care about Asian women. I looked at y'all and was like, whatever. What can I do for you? What? Speak English, girl. What are you talking about? And I was ignorant. I used to make fun of them. I think she meant to say song, but she said chong. I think she's asking for a glass of water, but she said potter. Okay, I used to make fun of them. When I was in high school, no, not high school, middle school. There wasn't too many Asians in my high school. It was just black and white. But when I was in middle school, we had some Asian kids there. And some cute little Asian girls and, nice boys. And, but I stopped making fun of them when one Asian boy, I think he was Chinese. When I was in middle school, he knocked about 7 black men. Hiya! Knocked them all down the steps. They all came at him and said, "Calm down." And he was twisting their wrists and just throwing them down the steps. It was like something in a Jackie Chan movie. He just kept throwing each one down the steps. And only 2 of them really got, bruised. The other ones were laughing at him. But they all got suspended. They got detention and that for that. They got trouble. They got in trouble, for that and all like that. And the Asian boy got in trouble too because he was out of control. They really ticked him off. But what is my point in saying all this? My point in saying all this is that this girl needs to get out and live more. There's more to a black man than crime. There's more to a black man than being creepy. There's more to a black man than the Asian exotic chick. There's more to a black man than passport bros or the Philippines. Okay? I'm a born again Christian. Okay? I recently became interested in Asian women when I found out that the most beautiful woman in the world, that in my eyesight, was an Asian woman. And it was the first time I had seen one that dark, and she was drop dead gorgeous. And I found out, here we go, older white man on the bus all the time, talking to this girl. He's older than her. And she's okay with him trying to, she's trying to listen to her headphones and all like that. And, I didn't try to really talk to her, but I would say hello to her. And she just felt, because the first time I saw her, she was so beautiful. I looked her straight in the eye like, you got to be kidding me. You cannot be in this country or even on this planet and be that pretty. And ever since then, I started paying attention to Asian women, because I've never seen a black woman. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I have seen black women that pretty, or close to that pretty. I've never seen a white woman that pretty, though. And I've seen some pretty ones. I've dated some pretty ones coming up. She was drop dead. She was a peach. I used to call her Peach. I used to tell all my friends, this girl's a peach. I took a picture one day and showed it to her, my friends. I was sitting in a seat, and as she was getting on the bus, I took a picture. And all my white friends, hello, Miss Hoochie Mama. All my white friends wanted to see the picture of this Asian girl. Not my black friends, all my white friends. They wanted to see the picture of her. Because they're the ones where we get it from. Saying that, I like them exotic and Asian. Where do you think black men are getting that from? They're getting it from YouTube. They're getting it from watching white men talking about going over to the Philippines. Not the black guys going over to the Philippines. The white men going over to the Philippines. We're just copying off these white men who were saying, I like them Asian and nice and tan and brown like a black woman. And I like them exotic. This girl needs to watch more, Filipino YouTube. Because she'll find out that white men ain't no different. White men go crazy mad over Asian girls. They go over to the Philippines talking about, I'm going over there to get me an Asian wife. And then they go straight to the bars and start sleeping with bar girls. And they get on YouTube and start talking about, retiring in the Philippines when what they're doing is sleeping with prostitutes. Okay? And, whoops. What did I do? I hope I didn't lose, did I lose my... Okay, we're still going. But, they're going out there sleeping with prostitutes while they wait to find the right Filipina to get married to. And if you listen to Filipinas talk about white men, it gets really creepy. And if you listen to the black men talk about Filipinas, it's very punctual. It's very settled and calm. But you hear You know, white men talk about North Korea, South Korea, whichever one, the Philippines, Thailand, they go nuts. And this is where the black men are getting it from. They're saying, oh, yeah, you're right, she's exotic. And wow, I didn't know Asian girls could be that pretty until I started dating Asian girls. And I'm going to tell you something else. If a black man has been with an Asian girl, okay, this girl's value goes down. If a black man has been with an Asian girl and she stereotypes him, her value goes down in what she's saying and what she is, you know. If he has had sex with an Asian girl, her value goes down because it's no longer about Asian women. She's in a class by herself. It's just her missing out, or her being stuck with white men, or only being with white men, or however you want to put it. Okay? And if you're going to be sexually promiscuous, you definitely are missing out. Now, I'm all for, once you get married, it's forever. Whether you marry an Asian woman, a black woman, a white woman, whatever kind of woman you marry, it's forever. So whatever you didn't sleep with, you didn't sleep with. Because marriage is forever. But she's talking like she's been with a lot of white men. If you've been with one white man and you're married to one white man, sweetheart, then there's no reason for you to talk like you do. So you got adopted by white people, but you are sexually promiscuous. Is that what they taught you, how to be sexually promiscuous? Because what do you mean you don't like us? Or have you mean to tell me you slept with all these white men that you know that they're all the same? None of them act black. None of them, you know, are broke. None of them are lazy on the job. None of them are broke, lazy, okay, robbing the government, got kids out of wedlock. You mean you dated all these white men and none of them got them problems? Then you have not dated a lot of white men then. Okay. And you are not white. You're about as Asian as they come. And if you think that when your white boyfriend sleeps with you, if you think he's sleeping with a white girl instead of an Asian girl, and I heard you say in the last video of yours that I watched where you're basically white. No, you're not. You don't smell white. You don't look white. Your hair doesn't hang like a white woman. Okay? You look about as Asian as every Filipina P video I ever watched. You look like a Filipino to me. Or Filipina. You're not white. And if your husband or boyfriend or whichever he is loves sleeping with you, your race has a lot to do with it. He likes it exotic. He likes it Asian. And I'm pretty sure he told you that, maybe not in that same demographic, but he has told you that. Just like I know white men tell African women. There's a lot of white men dating African women today and black women. And they let these melanated women know what they like about their race as a woman. Don't lie to me and make this about black men. This is only about two things. You being adopted and not ever spending time on the other side of the tracks of things. Number one. Number two, it's you and your stereotypes. Not that black men did anything wrong because they have an interest in you. But you want to display your boring stereotype all over YouTube. And I think that's where it's kind of racist. Like, why would you want want other Asians to hear this? Why would you want white people to hear this? Why would you want black people to hear this? If you're bothered by black men saying, hey, I like it exotic, you were getting ready to say before this short cut off that you were asking the black man why he said that, and then the short cut out. See, let me play that.
Family in the Midwest, so I have no beauty standards from South Korea. I'm a thick woman. I weigh about 165 pounds. I'm 5'5", so honestly, the brothers like to holler, and they still do. Pretty much every time I met a black man, he thought it would be a flex to say something like, yeah, I like my women foreign. I like my women exotic. And I don't know why they decided to say that to me, if they thought it would make me feel good or something, but for me, it's always a red flag. And so I would dig in a little bit further and say, well, what do you mean by that? Before anything, I'm a woman, so I'm always going to stand up.
So, see, it cut out. I want to know what they mean when they say that. Now, I'm pretty sure I can go to her channel. I have subscribed. I can go to her channel and find out. I'm pretty sure this is a short from a video that she did. It might even be a short from the video I've already watched. But if you don't like, if you're not interested in black men, that's not a reason to get on. This is where we begin to get black people to act up and act a fool. Black women as well as men, as black men, are offended by what you're saying here. Okay? Because what you're saying is that you can date outside your race as long as it's a white man. But you can't date outside your race for anybody. You know what I'm saying? The white man is not a god. But Asian women think that he's a god. Women in the Philippines, women from where you're from, they go crazy about white men. But however, in the middle of all that, in all your countries, you're right. Here in America, it's hard for a brother to hook up with an Asian woman. Now, they're doing it in colleges. If a black man is taking classes with an Asian girl and she sees that he's on a higher level, you know, in employment and education than her or whatever, she might find him attractive, knowing that he's really going somewhere with his life when he graduates from college. She might find that attractive and they might hook up after college. Okay? I've seen that happen. But in most cases, most Asian women come over here with already stereotypes towards black men. But it's weird though, in their country, there's lots of them, a ton of them dating black men, marrying black men. In the Philippines, in Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, Cambodia, you know, they're dating black men. So you're wrong about that. Okay? You're wrong about that. Even a white man knows that. White man knows that, okay, baby, okay, sweetheart, I love the fact that you only want to be with me and don't never want to be with a black man. But he also knows when he went to your country, when he went to the Philippines, when he went to Taiwan, when he went to, you know, most Asian nations, if black men were hanging out there and speaking fluently, you know, their language in that country, they were dating plenty of Asian women. Like it's part of the culture. This man is out there dating Asian women while the little Chinese boy called him the N-word. He's still dating Asian women. I don't understand what your point is. I really don't. But that is enough. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. I'd really like to know, you know, why you care if a black man is interested in you. Why is it a video Why is it a video call if a black man is interested in you, or a bunch of black men interested in you? And black men love skinny women. Okay? But if you look around you, it's not about black men loving women that are 100 and some to 200 and some pounds. Black men that are poor are less stereotypical about their girlfriends. So you see a black man that, you know, has been living on the street. Like one time, a woman, I was almost homeless one time. I was getting kicked out of my apartment, and a black woman wrote out a check for me for about, she wrote out my rent. My rent was clearly almost $2,000. I was way behind in my rent. She wrote out a check for me for $2,000. I even got change back. She wrote out a check for me. And my boss, my white boss, didn't want to do it. And I don't even date black women. But my boss did not want to, his white rich behind did not want to help me out because he felt that, you know, I'm on an N-word kick or something. You know, I'm trying to see what I can get for, I'm trying to get paid for being black or something. That's what he was thinking. Okay? But this black woman, he said, I'll bring it up to the panel. That's the best I can do. He brought it up to the panel, and I found the black woman that wrote out the check. She's very pretty in the face, but she was like way over 250. I mean, she had to be on, she was at least 250 pounds. She was a big woman. Do you know that I wanted to date her because of what she did for me? And I figure once I make her smile and make her feel romantically involved, she'll lose weight. You know. But initially, I've had a lot of my friends, they think because I'm short, I'm 5'3", I automatically get the fat woman. And fat women like to test me sometimes to see if, you know, fat women that ain't had a man in a while, they like to test me sometimes. Okay? And I you know, I like what I like. If I don't get what I want, I don't need to be with a woman. If I really want an Asian woman that bad, which I don't have, she doesn't have to be an Asian woman, but she's got to be a woman of God and a woman like me. She's got to be a Christian, a conservative Christian. She can't be no democratic, liberal, okay, modern day, you know, we can call any old jump something or another God. No, I'm not into them kind of women. Okay, we can fornicate, have babies out of wedlock, and it's all Jesus. No, it's not. Okay, I'm not into that. But I'm not into this rhetoric this woman's saying here either. Because as much as I criticize black people all the time, anybody who's been watching my channels knows that I'm hard on black people. But what she's saying is definitely, it looks racist. Even if she's not really racist, and she might not be. Because again, how does she get in this conversation with a black man in the first place? Because I know if I was walking past her, I would never be in a conversation like that with her unless she opened the door for me to be in a conversation like that with her. I meet women like this every Thanksgiving, every Christmas. I meet women like this every time somebody from my local mega church invites me to, you know, a Bible study in his home or something like that. There's always some fine looking Asian girl that acts like I'm a rapist trying to share the couch with her. When this white man invited me to his house, sit down next to my wife. His wife was like, you know, I'm like, all these white people love me. But this one Asian girl thinks that it's not normal for them to like me. I go through the same thing at work. There's foreigners there that think I have a problem. And they treat white people like gold, but they get confused when white people come up to me and hold like social, political conversations with me. And oh, we're both Trump supporters, we're both We both believe this, we both believe that, and now it's like, oh, bring my lunch over to here to his table, and he wants to sit over here with me and talk more about this because we agree on a lot of things. And these people from India are looking at me and like, what's wrong with this picture? There's nothing wrong with this picture. It's called America. And I bet you don't do that. I bet you don't know how to sit down and have a normal conversation with a black man without worrying about if he's getting a hard on over you or not. And I'm going to say it again. If it wasn't for black people's bad reputation, white men would have a hard time getting laid, since we're all committing fornication. Black men would have a hard time getting laid. I mean, white men would have a hard time getting laid if it wasn't for black people's bad reputation. All the way back to slavery.
For women, regardless of race.
All the way back to slavery. All the way back to the civil rights movement. Black people begin to, fall apart. After them building real estate and churches and all that begin to fall apart, they begin to fall apart. After they were separated, from the home unit, and, white people didn't want them to have anything. Okay, see, a lot of you Asians and a lot of you people in other countries don't know this. You don't know that there's generations of black people out there that were never like the people that you see on TV. They're never like the average black man that told you that he likes it exotic and Asian, okay? If you really, really looked at our history, it would blow your mind. And there's Asians who actually study our history, and you will never, ever hear them talk like you. There are Asian women who study black history. All of it, not just the parts that play the race card for us. No. You need to watch some Jesse Lee Peterson is what you need to do. You need to watch more Jesse Lee Peterson. There are Asian historians out there who got so far into, who got so far into studying black history and were so amazed by the truth of it, beyond and before and after slavery, that it's their thing now. It's their thing. But none of them would ever talk like you because they know that there's no reason to talk like that. There's no reason for anybody to talk like that because as a Christian, first of all the women in the church there's no race. We're all Christians. Christianity is our race. We're no longer black, white, or Asian or anything. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Asian women coming to church and they think that they're white. They don't realize they are a minority just like I'm a minority. And I've been in this country longer than them because I've never had a country of my own. My ancestors were slaves. So I've been in this country, never had to have a green card, never had to become, an American citizen. I'm an American citizen because I was once a slave here. We did all the work. And here you come, watching TV, coming over here stereotyping. Or getting adopted, and never been outside your white neighborhood, and you think you're white, and you're not white. And the men that sleep with you don't think you're white. If you was white, they probably wouldn't be sleeping with you. They like you, exotic, and Asian, and foreign, and all that stuff that you feel a white man can say it, but a black man can't. If a black man says it, it's creepy, but a white man, he can say anything and get away with it. And that's where I begin to have problems with race. When I go to work every day, and I got these younger kids that are young enough to be my grandkids talking down to me, giving me orders. Are you a supervisor? Like, I asked you a question. I didn't ask you, sir, a slave master, what would you have me to do today, my Lord? I didn't say that. I said, where are we putting this? Well, go do this. Well, I didn't ask you. I didn't tell you to go tell me to do something. I got a manager for that. Where I want to know where. Well, don't worry about. Well, I'm worried about it. Okay. I meet people like this every day. I had Asian women talk down to me. They couldn't wait for me to open up my mouth so they could talk down to me. How you doing? Do you know where? I didn't think she knew how to speak English, but the white man came over there. She spoke perfect English. But with me, she acted like she couldn't speak English. She's pointing at everything. You can't talk? Okay. What you're saying, ma'am, is not helping, because stereotyping people is wrong. It's a crime, even if it's not. In the Bible, it's a crime. Maybe not in the books you read, it's a crime. But in the Bible I read, it's a crime to stereotype people. And that's what you clearly, if you be honest, are doing. You're stereotyping black men, maybe black men in general or black people in general, whichever one it is. And you think that it's okay because you're so far out in the West. Okay, people are just going to look at your videos and leave comments and you're going to laugh. Okay, but if I saw you on the street, I could look in your eyes, one little look in your eye, and I know what kind of woman you are. Because a woman that doesn't know how to say hi, good morning, a woman that's afraid to do that is not afraid to do that. She's being judgmental. I watch women every day at work. They say hi to these group of guys, but they don't say hi to these guys. You're being stereotypical. But yet you keep looking in my eyes to see if my eyes are coming towards you. I know you're looking me right dead in my eye. And every time I look at you, you want to look away like you wasn't staring me right dead in my eyes. Because you think that I'm supposed to want you, and I don't want you. I don't like women who wear dyed hair, especially fake dyed hair. It's one thing if you go and get a perm, but a woman with green hair, you think I'm looking at your rear end? You think I'm looking at you? Please. But you always look at me right there in the eye like, you know, either you're fascinated with me or you're fascinated by the fact that I'm not fascinated with you. Like, what is your problem? But women play these games. And this woman is such a game player, she had to make a YouTube video about it. She had to make a YouTube short about it. And this ain't the first one. I've seen some of her other ones too. So I subscribe to her channel because I want to see what else she talks about other than stereotyping black people. And that is exactly what she's doing. Because, again, if a white man had said the same thing to you that a black man says, oh, I like it Asian, I like it exotic. It's okay for him to say that because that's what you're attracted to, because you think you're white, just because you were adopted by white. Like the black girl in my friend's neighborhood. Thought she was white. You're not white. You're black. You're adopted. You're not even blood born. You're adopted. Okay? But that's okay because Christ has adopted us into the family of God. And we are heirs to the throne. So, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being adopted. An adopted child has the same rights, according to Scripture, has the same rights as the blood-born son. So, God bless y'all. Thank you for watching. Check out this woman's channel. What's it called? Her name is, okay, obviously the guy who showed this video is Black Macho. That's not her channel. But he wanted to show this video. I don't think the name of her channel is Black Macho, but we'll see what happens. So I didn't actually subscribe to her channel. I subscribed to his. But, you know, she knows, and this is the thing. She knows that this is going to go viral with a lot of black men. And she wants to read the comments and see how they get their little feelings hurt over this. My feelings ain't hurt over this, because if I saw her on the street, I wouldn't even blink. Because until I'm having a conversation with a woman to where I know that we got it like that. Whether she's Asian, black, white, whatever she is. Till we got it like that. Till we can have a normal conversation. I'm not interested in having an exotic conversation until we have a normal conversation first. I don't care what the woman looks like out in public. I care who she is to me personally. Then I begin to let her know how I feel about Asian women. But until I have room, until she's opened the door for me to talk to her like that, I'm not going to do it. That's where these black men have failed. But again, if a white man had came to her at the roller skating rink and said, how you doing, young lady? You look good. You know, I really have a thing for Asian women. Did you know that? Yeah, Asian women are, I like white women. I like women of my own race, and I like black women too. But you're kind of, Asian women tend to be exotic. And I've been to Asia, I've been to China, and oh man, the women there, I just love. One of these days I'm going to marry an Asian woman. Hey, can I get you some popcorn? Can I get you some soda? You want a drink? If a white man had done it, you would be not making this video. But because black men are faster to hit on you than a white man is faster to hit on you. And black men are going to come out with it and ain't holding nothing back. But white men coming up to you in little baby steps, which I think they should. I think that's the proper way to do it. That's the way I do it. Even though I'm black, I come in little baby steps. Like I said, unless I know the door's open for me to let all my personal feelings out, you're not going to know my personal feelings until you and I have opened the doors to each other where we can have those kind of conversations. I don't care what you look like walking down the street. Okay? That's just like the Asian women on Thanksgiving dinner that kept moving over. Because they didn't want to share a seat with me. I said, you know what? You can put your feet up there. Okay, you got enough room there to move. Put your feet up there, because I'm not sitting there. You know what I mean? Because if you don't know how to look at me, just like everybody else in the room, and say, hello, sir, how are you doing? Okay? Then you're going to be the kind of woman that I'm never, ever going to do anything. I'm not even going to look at you again. You don't know how to speak. You don't know how to present yourself as a lady and say, hello. Hello, sir. Good morning. How you doing? God bless you. Thanks for coming. Have a great day. Talk to you next week. Whatever. Okay? You don't know how to do that? I'm not blinking a second eye at you. The only thing I know about you is that I think she was Asian. The lady that was standing over there, yeah, I think one of them's Asian. That's it. I don't know how exotic you are. I don't know if you make me want to go visit your country or what. All I know is one of y'all was Asian. That's it. I'm not trying to get personal with you. I just know from looking at you, you look Asian. Because most of the time, y'all look alike. Which, that look is priceless. Okay? So I don't mind y'all looking alike. Because it's a very beautiful look. But, at the same time, it doesn't make me want to lose my self-respect for myself. Okay? And make you do one of these stupid videos. One of these pointless videos. To let me know. You're going to go through all this to let us know I don't date black guys. Okay. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Talk to y'all later with more.